that?
Yeah.
Are you saying that if 10-star win map number 2 a best of 3, they win?
Yes.
That is monumental.
Crazy.
That is absolutely mental, Gibby. But I'm in shock with that one. But our bands,
yeah.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon Makers will get first? Well, you can't really make a prediction now. It's going to be Nook. Woo.
Well, it's no surprise there whatsoever.
I'm so shocked.
Yep, so Nook will be the ban, the second ban. It's 10-star have a little bit of a choice to make here. Wouldn't be surprised if it was a Thatcher again, if you're going to play Kaid.
Nah, it won't be a Thatcher.
So who are you feeling?
I don't know. This might be targeted. They're taking their time with it. It won't be a Thatcher, though. It's now watch. It's going to be a Thatcher now, because I said it wouldn't be a Thatcher. Please, actually, no. Please don't be. Oh, no. Always.
Sometimes when you're good, you're good. That's what I'm going to say. But the thing I was pointing out, though, before that was the fact that in this game that they played, Makers dominated the map so much that 10-star can watch that tape back and learn. Like when Makers watch back the last time these two sides played in this map, what are they really going to learn other than the fact, yeah, we were better on this map. We won 7-1.
That is true. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think 10-star have shown this since.
I think so.
They have, yes.
Yeah.
My little notebook isn't actually open right now, so I couldn't pull that stat.
Well, this is the thing. Whenever you get to playoffs, you're going to see more of these maps being played more often because teams kind of keep them a secret during groups, and then when they have to, they take them out. So Skyscraper being played, obviously, we're coming to Bank now again, and the rest of the bans, the Kaid ban and the Valk ban, I think once you get rid of Thatcher on a map like this, you kind of have to get rid of Kaid then too. Yeah,
one, you lose a Thatcher, you lose a Kaid, because those electric claws are a nightmare to deal with, and the fact is the impact EMPs require a little bit of extra precision, so it's not going to be the easiest thing to try and catch out. The Gaio in play. We talked about this yesterday when we got Watch Bank getting played. Those Gaios, when they get popped, are like, it's an eternity, right? You're waiting for one Gaio to burn away, they go, oh, it's gone. Second one pops, and all of a sudden, you're 70 years old, like you, Gibby. So it's a pretty rough one, and that's going to be a massive amount of deny. And if 10-star go and try and encroach on that position, they're going to get themselves caught out by 3 stocks of canisters in the hands of FACEIT, and the Vulcan canisters are going to pop and burn. A lot of utility dedicated to holding on the server rack, and then imagine there'll be some form of roam presence set up with the hands of Sorry, perhaps.
Think back to the Major and what EFAC was able to do in this site whenever he took a Maru. And instead of the plant happening on the door, back up through the hatch, drop down the hatch, planted close to that red wall, and that was just a really way to get around the problem of the smoke canisters and the flames.
Sorry's just reinforced the hatch inside of Janitors, which to me indicates he's going to have some intention of playing into that open area, in that little small box area. Now, they have a rotators there as well, so this is going to be the point of that roam presence, right? They can use this little area and this control, and they have the hatch soft, so you need to make a little bit of rotation back to site. You can do so, and 10-star will be forced to commit utility, like a hard breach, to open up Janitor to try and catch that pinch. Very well thought out from them. What will 10-star do to read into it? As a fast entry from Jegs on that top floor are already in this round.
Yeah, but Jaeger's close by. He's been droned, so he's going to drop down. Just one level on the map. Azra will begin making his way across that boarded up door, provided with the metal detector will give so much intel that the push is going to come that way. Jegs just clearing out those elevators, making sure that nobody is sneaking around. There's no Oryx, so that's a bit of a waste utility there.
Imagine though you're an Oryx, hello,
yeah.
It's not necessarily the camera you want to see. Is it a little bit of a scrap very early, some intimidation shots sent out. Now it's in a good position to act as that pinch. Now the hatch is going to get opened up, and that means Dora can drop on in, but 10-star in a very efficient and effective drop, and already that's the wrong presence gone. They've not had to take a single direct fight, they've just put some pressure on. Now Makers, they've got all their roam players back on site, they've wasted a lot of time, there's only a minute 30 left to go, that's a successful roam. Well, they've not got a kill for it, that's very well done. And 10-star, what will be their approach avenue? And it looks like for the time being it's going to be, I think, just a little bit more of a direct avenue. They might go in that server room a little later on, but they've opened up the hatches in lobby as well to give them that option if they want it later on.
Yeah, they've opened up the vault hatch as well, which gives them that B plan as well if they want to go down from that side of the maps. And Oxo will just redecorate this area of the map so we can rotate back and forward to make that decision a little bit later in the round. YZN with the case playing on the Habana will push in to join his teammate too, as Sorry is just going to hold that hatch and dare a member of 10-star to make the move.
So Oxo's going all the way in the garage now. That last minute push, he's going to drone himself in and try and act as that kind of surprise. Hello, I'm here. You want a Nook to do this normally, but you're going to have an Oxo this time, so it's just as good. And you've got 2 players in garage. They've expected this perfectly. A great read from Makers, and these players have fallen deep back inside, as an Oxo is aware of this now, and the side's better of it. Smoke grenades tossed out from both sides now to try and push this and make this execution work. A lot of ADS is getting called out and used, as YZ will be the first to fall. Dropping in now, that's going to be Jegs. The Finn has ascended into the bank vault, and that's going to be Dora with a shotgun, finds on the Azure. Jegs misses some key shots and running out of time and picked wide from Akui. 5v2, 5 versus 1. Makers on the cusp of a flawless round. They might just find it now. One play on DBNO. Another one takes an absolute beating, but a flawless round. Dora shuts it down. Yonka has no reply. And Dora 10-star. Makers looked very strong in that defense.
Yeah, flawless round from them that time around. Really good defense. And the thing is, everything went to plan for them. The roamers used up a minute and a half of the clock, were able to fall back to site. Then they had the feeling the rotate was going to come in through bottom garage, so they sent 2 players in there. Now, the reason you play there is because of the fact that you can watch the hatch and you can catch any of those attackers rotating late on in the round. So it was a very good decision by them to go ahead and do that. So, 10-star. You've lost round 1. What can you do round 2 on attack? It will be open area, so we will expect to see a very large extension here from the side of Makers as they look to defend this site, with, once again, the top floor being the key area for them to hold.
There's also a lot of, like, you can play this pretty aggressively as well. I mean, you can just decide to walk in if Makers overextend a little bit too much. Those hatch drops are pretty easy to stop those rotations from. And we do see the Amaru getting brought out from Jegs this time. They swapped on. And look at how Tensor have used this, right? 3 repicks. They clearly, right, they saw something, right, this is what we're going to do. The Osa comes out, the Amaru comes out. They will use Jegs to get a lot of map control very, very quickly. I'm intrigued to see where they go. But keep your eyes peeled on Akui. On that pulse, can get a lot of information. Now, I'm not too sure where you're going to play your pulse. You might try and deny you use that verticality, that C4 down below in sight directly. But Jegs, how long is it going to take until he's in the building? Gora Hook's ready to go. I imagine he'll be sending it in pretty shortly. Yeah, he's going to wait for the call for the rest of his team.
There's so many options here as well. He'll go in the top floor later on.
Windows?
Yep. Later on, he could even drop below and go up through the hatches from below. He's got lots of opportunity, and by going in here, he can drop down and square and do that. So, 10-star, at the start, they'll drone out the top floor. They'll work out where this defense is weak, where the defense is strong, and try to work that way. For Makers, it looks like they're going to go not quite the checkpoint style that we saw earlier on in the playoffs, where you'd put the castles up there and you'd drop back. They're playing a little bit more aggressively in this area of the map. So there's the drones. Jegs still patiently waiting. You know, not droning, not doing anything, just going to sit and wait for the call to pop in through the window.
They should know it's reasonably clear now. Got a lot of people by there. Now the Oryx is playing. No Claymore there to say hello to him. He'll rotate on up, and that's one of those most versatile options that Oryx has, of course, in a map like this with so many hatches to use. He can get himself in the basement top floor very, very quickly. He's done that already now. And now he'll try and contest Kanto. He might swing out wide and try and even catch that player, but he has not a lot of options here. He can drop back down, though, and that's exactly what he'll do. He'll just sit, he'll play into the elevators, he'll just be a nuisance, and if they don't find him, shut him down, he could be a problem. Jegs is now sending it on in, and realistically, did you need an Amaru to do that? They were pretty slow on that push.
It was really slow, but then Azur is going to make Gemini pay as he's able to get that kill. Little rotate into lone office here as well as Jegs begins to descend down these main stairs and try to take even more control. But the Oryx in the elevator can at any point just vault back on up and catch Jegs by surprise.
Oh.
The drone was by. Oh, Lolo, you didn't need to shoot. But he didn't need to shoot. I think he was misdroned.
He was, initially, and then he gave it away. Do they know? Like, they can put pressure on from above him as well. They haven't done so yet. Under a minute to work with that. Pulse will try and relay as much information as possible. Drop into the basement now will be Lolo. Sorry, in support as well. And he's got a bailiff. He can open up that lobby hatch. He can find himself in any position he wants realistically in this map right now.
Jegs is going down too, though.
Jegs is hunting, but Lolo's going to go back to site straight away. Look at that. You think Jegs is going to go up that hatch?
It makes it easier for Jegs now. To go
You're right. Oh my.
Because
he's not going to. There's no way he walks up that hatch.
He won't walk. He'll Gara hook up with it. Come on.
It's the same.
No, you don't walk up through air.
Wait, come on. How do you walk?
Come on. I just fall all the time. Xenoxo getting some pressure on that window now too. The execution is coming, but that's 2 kills on the board.
Oh, wow.
3 kills on the board now, but it's a 3 versus 2. YZN goes for the execute again. Azur's able to find one. 2 versus 2 scenario. There's a C4 tossed and wasted with 5 seconds. Case is going down. Sorry makes it a 1 versus 2 now, and just like that, YZN finds one, almost gets the second, and Mkers win a second round.
That shot the castle.
Filthy.
Are you kidding me? If you managed to pull out that secondary and win that round, oh my, I think I might have just exploded. I would have just went pop, pop.
think when Mkers saw that kill come off, they just hit the deck. It's like, if I go prone, I can't lose.
It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
What a shot was that? Like, that was, he's in the process of bringing the gun up to his eye, boop, gets him. One top.
With that though, Mkers take a 2-0 lead and they're going to go up to the top floor now, and you feel like the opportunity was there in that round for TenStar to take advantage. Mkers starting their map very strong.
Azami's in play. That's going to be a problem. So the reason Azami's going to be a massive problem is because, well, guess what? You don't have a lot of nades to deal with it. Now, you've got 2 nades on Azur. You've got 2 breaching charges with Jegs. It's not going to be impossible to clear, but you have ADSs. You've got Lamais. That's not going to be easy. That's not going to be free to clear. And the real question is, where will Azami set up these keepers? Oh, that double stack. And that's exactly where they're going to be stacked up. Double stack of ADSs keeps that alive. That's a massive utility sink. You don't want to burn into that one.
Now, you look at the setup that TenStar have. Virtually no hard breach whatsoever. With this layup, this is going to be right up through gold stairs. That's why you bring a Monty on this site.
I mean, the Monty will walk up main lobby and he will try and stand as menacingly as possible. Like, hello, what are you going to do about me? And cause problems. But this is a situation where for YZN, your job is to simply survive and let your team do everything around you. It's not a comfortable position to be in, and it's not going to be comfortable for Mkers or TenStar. This is going to be an awkward round. Right? You can just tell this is going to be a scrappy one. You can just tell. Monty comes out and it's never going to be an easy job for either side.
It's not. And interesting, without hard breach, they're not going to open up that Canto wall. And we saw on this map before, the defenders were able to use that breach to prevent the Monty push coming up those stairs. So we have a little bit of chess going on here as YZN begins to make that move in through. A lot of noise being made. Monty, not the quietest operator in the world, but at the end of the day, TenStar are not trying to hide what they're doing here. Zenoxo sitting on the hatch as well. He will pop that EE1D and drop over that open skylight whenever the time comes. He's got a very vital job, and YZN has already got on the top of the stairs. There's that EE1D, as Zenoxo will look to isolate the player. Pushes in through CCTV. Okay. It's completely vacant. Azur's going to get the opener onto Dora, and then Jonk is going to get another one on Gemini. Lolo pulls one back onto Azur. As a Quee inside elevator, he will taste some lead as well. 1 minute and 35 seconds to go as everything is going to plan, but there's Lolo pulling another one back. It's a 2 versus 3 scenario. Lolo just slammed Yonka, but Zenoxo's there to trade it back, and it's all down to Sorry. He's being pushed aggressively by Monty. Monty drops the shield to put some pressure on, and Sorry's going to find it. It's a 1v1, but Zenoxo finds the kill as TenStar managed to win their first round. But that was a half rush, was it? Half rush.
It wasn't necessarily a rush. I think it was a well thought out and timed execution, but it was very well thought out. But Mkers, I mean, again, they were able to claw their way back into that one just by winning some fights. And so, I mean, Zenoxo in that situation on the Lion just ends up making that drop from Skylight. No, he makes that drop under the cover that Monty's there, and he's given stock for free.
Yep.
No one's there. He's able to just have that control. Okay, fair enough. Let him have it. Azur managed to get himself in the janitor. Don't know how he found himself there at that stage of the round, but it was a very well thought out round from TenStar. Well done execution. We get a little bit of replay. This shot as well. This scared me. The moment you lose that window player and the next shot Lolo hits is absolutely mental. Okay, you see him, Monty? Look at this. Just goes, yep, done. The case went cold in that moment. You've got a Yokai drone still available and the window cover is gone. That was very winnable for Mkers. Little bit scrappy from TenStar in the middle or the ending stages of that round.
Yeah, Monty dropping the shield as well in the 2v1's not something you relatively want to happen.
You wanna learn how to be the best multiplayer in the world.
What's Cag?
Well, Annington, he drop shots everyone with Monty. Just drop shot with Monty. Annington does it.
You know, so guys, for those of you who don't know me and Weapon very well, I've spent a lot of time with him this year.
Unfortunately.
Cag is brought up so often.
Dinner time conversations.
This is how Ollie feels along with Demo.
Must be. Except Demo probably says meaningful comments about the team.
Yeah, you just say Cag good.
Yes, best team in the world. So, round number 4, Mkers to the basement defense once again, and they were very effective here last time out when their roam presence was essentially, I mean, masterful. The way they wasted time, the way they baited TenStar into a full map clear without losing casualties and then falling back to site. Almost perfect. Well, actually, a flawless round from Mkers, and Lolo, I think his best D-pack impression, trying to give it a little bit of extra information, using that Yokai drone very effectively and efficiently through those drone holes to get a little bit of exterior view.
It's funny how the Echo drones and Echoes evolved over the case of the last couple of years as well.
Everyone saw what D-Pack done in Berlin and was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And done that too.
Yeah, but it works. Biggie T, he's a trailblazer.
He is.
So, 1 minute and 55 seconds to go. Azure creates a punch hole to look at that long line of sight, but it's all a little bit slow so far in this one. Jegs is holding one angle. Azure using the drones to just check to make sure that it's all clear on this section of the map. Now, just use the twitch, open those very early, those canisters, and that's a big part of the defense gone already.
Yeah, because you're relying on those plus the smoke canisters to waste, over a minute of time. Like, that is a lot of time waste utility. Now gone, popped away, and that was all for a touch drone. Massive, massive advantage. Then actually no Vulcan canisters remain. So TenStar are basically now able to do this old school style of blind defense or offense where you open up that wall, you try and get a plant, and this could be a problem. And if there's any roam presence for Makers, now it's time to make yourself known.
So you've got the hatch open. You've got rid of those canisters. You're now in a fantastic position to make this happen. There's still an echo on the board. There's still those smoke canisters, which can cause a problem. And hopefully the members of Makers can delay that push. But for TenStar, things are looking pretty good. There's Yonka now pushing in. And you've got your hard breach in tow as well, as Dora just looks to seal off those marble stairs.
That is why Azami is so good. Right, now you are forced to use soft utility or melee that 3 times.
I think you can swing it. I think the gap is just about enough.
Tell you what though, it's time to get this plant down. Jeg is going to drop in that smoking chaos. Yonka will try and stick this through the smoker, will do so, hopefully successfully. Yes, he does. Right, job done. And Jegs is very advanced in a very up close position. He'll be able to find 1, find 2. Here he goes. It's all Jegs. Oh, gets 3. Just like that. The round looks TenStar's way. Couldn't make it a 4. But he got the hatch control of Azure. And it's all down to this. 3 versus 2. What can Makers do? Do they have an answer or a reply? They need to try and retake upstairs. That will be the tasking of Sorrow. And Lolo. Both of them will try and scrap their way. But Azure, look at this. In a corner, sitting, waiting, being patient. He should be able to get this one. At least one. There's the Jaeger. Next is going to follow. It's going to be Lolo. And it is all but over. TenStar, what a round! What a round, and Jegs, hello.
That spot right there is a horrific one. And I was playing in a game once with Demo where he hid in that spot. And it broke the whole team's mental when he was able to get kills from that position. And you just know it was the exact same.
That's probably because you misdroned.
Wasn't me.
Yeah, it was.
No, I don't drone.
Sure, you don't know what
I don't drone.
Point 4, explain.
So one of the players was able to just pop up and have that impact. Azure taking that position this time around. We're going to move in to round 5. And TenStar have managed to come back winning 2 rounds on the trot. Basement will be the position we're going to go to this time again. And looking at the setup, Makers not really changing too much. Azami has been gotten rid of as Lolo will elect to go for the Warden this time. And that's to just make sure that the smoke plant isn't as effective. I'm looking at the side of TenStar. And after the impact that was had last time around by Twitch, it's interesting to see... Oh, there we go. 6th pick to switch. Azure was listening.
No, I mean, he's just going to do the same again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't listen to you.
10 seconds to go.
Why would anyone ever listen to me? Most people are listening to this muted right now.
5 seconds to insertion.
Yeah. Anything to avoid your voice, Kitty. Anything to avoid your voice. So, again, I'd imagine it won't be as easy for TenStar to have as clean of an execution again. They're not going to be able to get both the Vulcan canisters with that touch on again. Unless, if they do, that will be a little bit of a fumble from Makers. Back to this is the strongest defense side, in my opinion. You can just lock this down, and this roam strategy that they have is pretty solid, pretty good. And already, looks like they're going to try and get a fast execution. Again, Makers aren't changing a lot up here. This is the same again, 3 times in a row. Same strat, same setup. And that Twitch drone gets in the sight, but does get caught out this time.
Still should be another one in the back pocket to use later in the round, though, to try have that same impact. And Az is going to use it nice and early. But by using the Twitch drone in this position, you are maybe going to cause a little bit more difficulty for yourself in getting those canisters a little bit later. Azure drones himself in again. Will open up that door. There's a player down inside basement with Sorry playing on these marble stairs as well. Pre-placed C4 though up and above. And this could cause a problem.
So that's because when we saw this round last, in the very first round we saw this, the sledge opened up that exact angle where that C4 is placed, and if TenStar go through the motions once again, which I imagine they will, he's going to go bang very soon, but no! Zenoxo mixes it up just enough, and that's going to be Azure who finds one on the Dora. Opening pick for TenStar. Roam presence now muted for Makers. A very good opening for TenStar. Now can they keep the pressure on?
Was that an intentional pun there, saying that the roam presence is muted? As mute falls?
Nope.
You've joined the dark side,
No.
Whippet. You've joined the dark side. 10 star now with 1:30 to go. I'm going to begin going through that checklist. Get the hatches open. Make sure nobody can flank you up main stairs and go for the execute once more. Issue now for Mkers is holding your ground. You're man down once more, but you have the utility in the back pocket to have an impact on this round. If they go for that simple smoke execute, you've got Warden, you've got a C4 in the back pocket. Jaeger should be able to capture those smokes as well as they're thrown. And the Goyo canisters, more importantly, as far as I know, but are still in place.
I believe
yes,
they are. So they have one of them is burned away already. So they got one more in that position. So that's a lot of time. Now at this point now, Mkers can basically choke out the rest of this round. How many canisters they got left in smoke? 2. So they've got a little bit of time they can burn away. YZ won't have an easy time to get this plant down, and they might rely on Jegs. Once again, they get super aggressive. They've opened up this hatch now, drops in directly in the red. Where is Jegs going to go? They might rely on this man once again to dive in, cause a little bit of chaos, and it'll be main stairs this time. No Azami in play, so no blocking up this angle. He can just walk on in, and with the whole player dedicated to holding on the elevator and the push not arriving from there. 10 star, they might be arriving, but a rotation's being called. Where's this to? Are they just going to go hard on the hatch drops? I think they are. Get ready. 15 seconds left to go on 10 star. Count it in. 3, 2, 1, and away they go. Drop in the sides. Noxo gets one. The plant should go down now. Yonko trying to stick it. Sorry, gets one. There's an Noxo now. Finds that trade. And that plant will get denied. Oh, it's in the final seconds as well. And the timer will be the Nemesis 000. But he just decided to stick it. Mkers get round number 5.
A little bit of chaos at the end, but Warden is able to come in clutch and get that kill. But a lot more bullets fired than you would have expected. That was very close to popping off.
I mean, it's an MPX. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but he got the job done. He managed to find it, and Mkers get themselves that round. Final now round number 6. Who will come out on top of this opening half of this game? I mean, it took a couple of attempts, but Mkers finally get that second victory in the basement.
Yeah, they needed that round because 10 starred 1-2 back-to-back on attack, and at times again it looked like they were about to win that round as well whenever things started to pop, because it was a 5 versus 3, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
They dropped the hatch, and Oxo got the kill, but it was a really good bounce back from Mkers. So, last time we came to this site was a very clean round up to the very end where they were given a chance. YZN hit that life shot and almost got the second one to win the round. But it was a very closely contested one.
Oh yeah, I mean that was a back and forth round. That wasn't an easy one. Now 10's done a good job of getting themselves back into that one. Very well played by them. But now they've seen their strategy, and what I've seen from Mkers so far is in the structure they play, they don't change it a lot. So if 10 star had intermediate success with what they were doing, now you know exactly what you're dealing with. Can you play better around it? And they brought the Amaru on Jegs once again. Now, the criticism of this last time was, well, you've got a Gara hook, and you didn't really get him in aggressive. You didn't use that for early map control, and I think they might try and do it this time around. They'll drone in the CEO, know it's clear, and send in Jegs. That's what I would do at least.
Well, he is pretty good at shooting his gun, so it would make sense to put him in that front line and try to find those engagements.
I mean, if you wanted anyone, Indigo's a little bit quicker now for 10 star, and this is what I wanted to see. And the pulse is in play, so Akwi's going to be a threat as you walk in. You can relay that information. That's exactly what he's doing. And of course, you don't know about this right now, so that C4 could be very problematic if Jegs gets himself caught out. No, it's not going to land.
A little bit of damage done, not a lot, just a little, and that gives Jegs the idea that they know that he's there. So, if you're 10 star, you know that they know that you've already got a couple of players in that position, and Nate is tossed into the corner, maybe some bad intel.
No, it's BP. There's a bulletproof camera there. That bulletproof camera will just shoot
still there, though.
That nade didn't land. So now, you don't use second nade, so you kind of go, it stays, I guess.
So BP in place will provide all that information, but it is still a 5 versus 5 inside the server. Jegs on the top of those marble stairs now as well, just holding a cross, looking at the lineup. Lolo playing that position, and Elevator once more. Wasn't that effective last time we came here, but you get a feeling this battle between him and Jegs could be a big one as he looks to push down the stairs, but Aki is going to feed all that information.
He just knows. I mean, again, the Pulse is so good at doing that, you know. Everything you gain is knowledge, and Jegs loses that fight, sorry.
Yeah.
Big blow very early, and that Amaru's just not worked out for them at all. They've not got any utility, any uses of that. And Hazard drops quickly into basement. Will try and catch one. And are they aware of it? What a shot there. Shuts down Lolo. Minute left in this round. Get themselves level. But can they make this execution stick? Because, again, while you've got the opening pick, you got yourself level. You've not done a whole lot of damage to sight. And guess what? Akwi knows exactly where you are and what your plans are.
Got to get rid of that pulse. Aqui is going to be able to just relay so much information on where the vertical aspect of this push is going to come from. If the buck isn't going to give you enough information as it is by just redecorating that roof. 40 seconds to go. Sorry is on the hunt. He's got the yellow ping. He knows that Azur's nearby. He fires shots, gives away his position, and Azur is still alive in the server. But really, in this position, he doesn't need to get over aggressive here with the UMP now. He's stalled out the attack quite a bit already. 24 seconds to go. And oh no, this diffuser, it's going down. Sorry gets one, Zanoxo gets another. It's a 3v3. Zanoxo needs the cover, but Gemini is going to get YZN. Jonka gets one onto Sorry. Back to a 2v2. Case is cold. 10 seconds left inside the round. Gemini playing by the bomb chassis. 10 star, you gotta need to do something. Aqui gets one, Gemini gets the other. And Mkers, not for the first time today, take a 4-2 defensive split.
Little bit scrappy there, and the cover from Zanoxo. If you open up that wall a little bit sooner, you would have been able to deny that cross and get an extra pick for it, and we might have seen a different story. 4-2, you're split. Mkers once again looking, but wasn't this, funny enough, the same exact storyline that we had on Sky?
We've been here before.
We have. So, I mean, on the last map, Mkers won 4-2 on their defense as well. Can 10-star run the numbers once again, but this has been a much more dominant and concise Mkers. They look to be way more comfortable on this map than they were on Sky. Hence probably why it was their map choice.
If you want to be the eternal optimist as well,
Oh,
10-star have won 2 rounds, which is more than they won the last time these two sides faced on Bank.
That always look at the improvements.
Exactly.
Always look on the bright side of things. You're definitely not biased towards the MPL side, are you?
I'm just one of those people who's overly positive and it drives you insane.
No, it does. You have to sugarcoat absolutely everything.
Yeah, exactly. And our watcher, Schreikel, agrees with us there, but he speaks
It's such a horrible rebrand, calling observers watchers. Not a fan of what you've done, Gibby.
It's your fault.
This is your decision. You came up with it, not me. Not me. But for 10-star on the defense now, how will they be able to adapt? How will they be able to play around this now? As I always mentioned, I mentioned previously on Sky, round number 7, very influential. How do you change the tempo? How do you go around it? And I'm very intrigued to see what 10-star setup will be. And already, look at the side rotation they went on. They went down to that middle floor site. Very first thing, they don't want to go to the basement, and a lot more of an extended roam presence from them.
Yeah, this is a site that I think, when played well, is just incredibly powerful for the defensive side, and we saw that from Mkers. They were able to win it twice, although a little bit scrappy at times. 10-star will look to maybe repeat the feat and get a round one here too. This is where they will look to try to just claw their way back into the game. If Mkers can win round 7 and take a 5-2 lead, things start getting a little bit of pressure for 10-star. There's the first pick though. Aqui is going to get taken down by the C4, and 10-star now can do what they do so well, play with a man advantage.
I was taking notes there, Gibby. I missed it.
You don't take notes.
I took notes, they're written down.
It's just smiley faces on a page.
No, it's not.
On your tiny notebook.
My notebook has taken so much slander in these 3 weeks. Not about that life, but the opening pick, of course, goes for me. Or goes for 10-star. My bad. Aqui falls.
Your notes weren't great if you're saying that.
I was looking at my notes and I missed the play. I'm sorry, Gibby. I'm sorry. So the Dokkaebi call goes out, the logic bomb rings out across the floor, and that's going to be Sorry. He gets that trade on to YZN. Yonka finds one back on the Dora. 10-star, don't want to give anything for free. And this nade will be tantalizingly close. Well, if the hatch is open, maybe. Jegs will get one more. Finds it on the Gemini. Minute 25 left to work with. We're already down to a 4 versus 2. Mkers, they've tried the clear 10-star, and they've walked perfectly into all the traps set by the MPL champions, and it looks to be a little bit too much to ask now. YZN, or Azur will now drop in the basement. Sorry, we'll read into that one. It might catch him napping, and Azur will now just try and play with a bit of a dance with the devil. Sorry, shuts him down, and now the deficit, only one player. A minute left to work with as well. Oh,
timing. Lolo was just looking at the long angle when the player comes short. It's a 3 versus 2.
Oh no.
Sorry.
NA drone.
Oh no. Per NA drones.
I haven't seen one in a little while.
Nah, but we got with the Z1 today, so sorry.
Oh my.
Jegs, that is poor sorry. We're sorry for that
sorry,
one.
But yeah. We both went there. We both went for it. Oh no, you've ruined me. You cut to me. Leaves Lolo alone. 35 seconds. He'll be able to silence Jegs. But is it just a little bit too much to ask? 30 seconds. He's got a little bit of time to work with. The case is cold though, so he'll have to rely on that DMR and his wits alone. The camera will spot him out. No logic bombs, one flashbang. 20 rounds ready to go in that DMR. Will he read this absolutely perfectly? Yonka won't get flashed when that's done, and he might be able to swing wide with that SMG, but doesn't even matter. The Capcan shot finds it. Oh, I love Capcan. Capcan.
Yeah, that's for demo. Who can?
I'm not joining you in your wordplay.
Well, oh look, YZN throwing a little bit of salt in the chat too. A little laugh to himself over that one.
I like that though.
But that's the thing. Trap operators like Capcan and Frost, in the final 10 to 15 seconds of a round, attackers forget about them. They completely forget about their existence.
Who was it in Sweden? Was it Liquid couldn't deal with it on border? Yeah. That was a fun one. A fun one to watch. So, Tenstar, to the basement they go. This was Mkers' primary site. Now Tenstar, let's see what you've got in store for us. And a little bit of a different lineup once again. Yonka brings out the pulse. Now what this pulse does is realistically give you a massive picture of the battlefield. He will sit in gold and he will know if you're pushing in the server rack. He can look up towards the hatches, see what you're doing. He essentially is safe on site to relay information. He is the conduit of everything you make. If you want to make a play, he can tell you roughly what's going on if you have a good drone net or good cam network as well. Very intrigued how this one will go for Tenstar, but Mkers, you know, how will your offense deal? How will your problem solving deal against Tenstar once again?
I'm really keen to see how they use the information that Pulse is able to gather. Again, in the early round, he'll go to this position and let them know if any push is going to come through dirt, which it's not going to just yet. And then, you know, after about 30 seconds, he'll fall and move to that position in Vault, where he can feed that information again. One thing I've noticed, very early, they've started the drone out down by Garage. And with YZN in position, Osa is going to contest, and they're going to bring 2 players to try to take him down.
So the on-6 will clear that shield. The Osa will try and get that pick very quickly as well. And already, YZN will use one of those canisters. He's going to get caught out, but between a rock and a hard place, he managed to duck and dive his way into safety. So utility burnt away. Both teams losing pretty key bits of utility. Gone 6 already gone. 2 classic canisters already tossed out. And well, Mkers, you're going to sit here and be pretty confident going, all right then, we'll take that utility burn. You've lost 2 canisters. We've lost 1 shot from a gone 6. 3.
Yeah.
All canisters now gone.
If I am Mkers now, that information is so good if you want to push through server now. There's no smoke to deny. There's no go-yo. You've got a pulse. You've got a couple of C4s in the back pocket. But you can realistically go for server.
One C4. You've got 1 C4 to deny a plant now. If you go now for that old school style of play where you just plant, default, on that wall, you're in a problem for Tenstar because you can't really deny that safely. But Mkers have a lot of work to do to make that happen because they haven't got the hatches yet. They're key and critical. You got 1 player walking in, and that Dokkaebi call rings over the back pocket of Yonka. He'll feel a little bit of pressure, a bit of a pinch, and he can't go on that scanner yet because a sound cue will mean that they know he's vulnerable. He's got cover from that hatch, and Dora will try and scrap and brawl their way inside of electrical. But sorry, we get the opening pick on the Azure.
That's the opener. It's 4v5. Dora being held in position here too, so there's another engagement. But Jegs is going to win that one, bringing us back to a 4v4.
Oh my.
He doesn't know. Because it was behind the corner, he doesn't know.
Doesn't matter though, we know. And now, that's going to be a problem for Mkers. They now either have to hunt for the players of Tenstar or go recover that one.
They're going to go recover it. You surely have to go recover it. That'll be a good kill from Jonka, taking down Sorry, making it a 4 versus 3 now as the round suddenly swings back into the favour of Tenstar. Aqui's going to get taken down by Jegs, 4v2 as Tenstar look to level the sides. Gemini on the hunt to go get the case, but he's being held by the Jaeger over on the side. But no, the Jaeger doesn't quite have the angle. But with 30 seconds to go, whip it, something's got to happen.
Jegs is in great position. He's just going to wait for these 2 players. They're stacking up and he's going to fight and scrap and brawl his way around, but there's no case in hand. He'll drop in, fall back to site, and there's nothing they can do. Every second now is such a painful one for Mkers and their fans. They have to make a last dive, and Tenstar, they'll be ready for it. They'll know something desperate will arrive, and it will be all down to this now. 8 seconds, timer hits red, and Tenstar, if you don't close this one out, there'll be questions to ask. 4 seconds. YZN gets 1 more. Lolo gets a constellation, gets a second one, but time will be the nemesis. Tenstar get round number 8 and draw themselves level here on Bank.
This is such a good matchup that we have in the second map. We've been keeping track on the opening picks.
Oh, have you?
8 rounds, 4 for each side, and each side has won 3 of their 4.
Woo.
So 75% conversion for both of these sides in this map for opening pick, which tells me that it is vitally important to get that one.
Tactical timeout being called by Mkers. Now,
this was the same time it was used last map.
That is true. I mean, alright, Gibby, you're the man that loves talking about tactical timeouts. You know, talk us through this one.
Well, basically, when it comes to tactical timeouts, as we pointed out, the coach now can talk to the players and adjust based on what they've seen. One of the biggest gripes that we have with some teams in Siege is they take that tactical timeout when it's too late. A lot of them. A lot of
Many.
teams are guilty of taking the match point timeout. When you're down maybe 6-1 or 6, when it's too late, you're like, use the timeout earlier. Use it at a time like this when you can impact the game.
I agree with that one. I mean, the tactical timeout basically lets you reset. It acts as that little bit of time where you can get your breath back, figure out what's going on, and let your coach chime in just a little bit. Don't think Tensor have used one yet, have they?
They've not really got themselves into a situation where you feel like they've had to use one. They've been down 4-2 twice, which is like the old school split in Siege. And then it's been very positive from that point on. Now, if Makers happen to win a round or two in the next 3 rounds, I'd expect Kenny to maybe call that timeout on that side for 10-star. But round 9, this is where 10-star can take the lead, or Makers can just get that 5th round and start to build something up again. So we're going to go up to the top floor. Echo is in place. Kanto will be reinforced this time around. And an operator is being brought again in Azami, who we've spoken about how oppressive she can be. Hasn't had a big impact on this game just yet.
Not an impact that I think we've seen necessarily. But when you look at the fact that we saw that main stairs getting patched up completely, right? How big that was.
They weren't patched up completely.
You know what I mean? Like,
the idea was good.
Exactly. We also saw the fact that red drop was watched off and blocked off just a little bit from Tensor in that previous round. It's those small angles, those small bits of extra cover. It was very, very pivotal. I mean, look at how it's being used here, right? So that protects that rotate inside generator. You go on that window to try and cut off that player. That doesn't work anymore. You now need to open that window, contest anyone who might be daring to peek you, and clear utility off of that, which is likely, or you'd imagine, will be protected. And so Wise will make that his home. He'll leave in janitor for the rest of this round. And normally you see some of them used inside of stock, not this time around. But Zenoxo has a lot of those magnets placed around him, and a shield to help keep him alive as well.
Yeah, he's got YZN covering the vault and through the window while he's going to cover square. So they've got a cross being created. I love that YZN is going to use the Kiba barrier there, because it just means that he cannot be shot from the other side of the map while giving him something to get rid of later in the map if he wants to open up that wall himself. YZN still holding the cross. The beeper will just let them know that somebody has now pushed in the square. But there's an element of trust. And there goes the yokai weapon to try get that little bit of information as well. And it'll say hello to a drone as they both go off in their different directions.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
Lolo doesn't like that one a lot, though. You don't really want to say hello to UMP and lose your head for it on top square. He'll just think about that a little bit more carefully next time he peeks it around. Sorry, inside the lobby as well, might pounce late, but has to worry about Azure as well, who seems to be somewhat aware of that threat, knows completely now that Lions, or at least someone, is inside of ATMs, and will just play the patience game. He will wait, he will try and hold on, and they have no information, but Gemini will get that pick, and now as Azure will walk out, and he's got support as well. They should know this is arriving, but that Lion, doesn't last very long at all. Yonka finds that pick, and now you can't repel on those windows safely. You've lost lobby control, and with a minute left to go, Yonka decides to go on a little rampage, gets one more. Wise gets another one on Akwi. The case will try and at least get attempted to go down, and should go down as well. No one's going to stop it. Post plan for Makers.
3 versus 2 as well, as Lolo's going to get that kill, so it's now a 2 versus 2 as Makers in a prime position to get this one. Yonka will begin to push around, a big 1v1 coming on with Lolo here that Lolo is going to win as he gets a triple and leaves it all down to YZN, the player who was picked up just in time for the end of the season. YZN pushing aggressively up, but you got to look at the position of these Makers players. They caught them cold. They just absolutely caught 10-star completely cold and...
Stick it, go on.
You gotta stick it. But Dora is on the hunt. Dora's going to get the kill and Makers win the round and they take the lead.
A round that you would imagine looks really strong for 10-star, and then all of a sudden, they're inside. The case goes down. There's no answer.
It was a 4v2 at one point.
That's a head scratcher around, because... you have a lot of utility. No yokai drones were inside, though. All the yokai drones are committed to information further around. So you didn't know that gate was going down. You had no one in close enough proximity. 10-star spread themselves a little bit too thin there.
They did, and it was really well diagnosed by Makers, because you have the player in Janitor who used the Kiba barrier to prevent him from being shot. But that works 2 ways. That meant that you could rappel straight into the window, get behind the desk, and from that point you could plant, and there was no way that YZN could fight back the other way. So, really well diagnosed by Makers. So, we move to round 10. 10-star want to get the sides level again. If Makers win this round, though, they move to match point, or map point.
It's only a map, Gibby. Not time yet for it to arrive. Can 10-star draw themselves level? This has been a bigger test than what we saw in Sky, while Skyscraper, yes, was 7-5, right? And on paper, that looks like a close game. But when you look at how the games and rounds went, it was a pretty strong showing from Tenstar, right? This has been a little bit different. Mkers showing a little bit more. They got a little bit more in the tank, a little bit more energy, a little bit more flexibility, a little bit better problem solving. And that's been my critique of this roster. When they're not fully prepped, how do their problem solving skills deal? And so far, been pretty good against Tenstar. And that round, that previous round, a very good example of it. They saw a chance. Let's get the case down. Let's force the post plant. Perfect job on Lolo. Great cover. Finding what, 4 in that round?
Yeah.
Mental.
Not for the first time. He's going 14-5 again here. He's having a phenomenal series.
And I don't... Don't make it so easy.
Right, go on.
Again, come on. Hey, you got it.
Better. This was better. But now...
No, he got it. No, that counts. We give him that.
Yeah. And the fact is, he's not put it in. He's going to use it for audio cues for just now, which is a good idea as well. 2 minutes to play with. Lots of time for both of these sides. It's one of those ones that can feel like an eternity for the defensive side and feels like it goes by so quick for the attacking side. Now Gemini will directly counter those Kiba barriers as Azami will be forced out of this position. And that provides another avenue of access. Ebar Electrical's been open now as well, and Zenoxo will just get back into his little corner and try to hold that push if it comes from over by square.
I mean, that's why Azami's so good. They've used the Flores jump, they've cleared it, and guess what? You can rebuild your little fort. A lot of these Kiba barriers already used and deployed. One in pocket left for Zenoxo. Minute 30 left in this round. Lolo creeping his way all the way in the tellers. Looks for that opening pick alone. Good drone will spot out the player on those spiral stairs. Akwi will get the opening pick on the Jegs now. And for Tenstar, they're very spread out, but Mkers, they're beginning to close the net just a little bit. And Azure is going to feel the pinch of this one, but it doesn't even matter. Gets one on Akwi. Doesn't know. He's compromised down below in lobby, but he can drop from elevator. He's got that safety net, that security. But sorry, in a good position. It looks like Mkers very much on the hunt to try and find Azure. Might be a wise choice to fall back though.
Dora's holding. Lolo looks to get a shot through the drone hole, but unable to hit the toes. So YZN will dip back into cover as Azure will go down.
Oh
and
my.
contest and Lolo is going to fall. So it's a 4 versus 3 now with 45 seconds to go. Gemini forced to rotate all the way up to the top floor as he will work with Dora to go for what looks like it's going to be that square push whip at this point. That's where everything is kind of lining up to go. Zenoxo in a big gunfight now. Using the bomb chassis, he's got a lot of cover to play with here. Gemini is going to be able to get an injure. Takes down Zenoxo. That was just a prone player. Dora's going to get one onto Yonka. It's a 3 versus 2 now, and both the Tenstar players very low HP.
They've given sight though, but look at Azure in a great position to try and flank, but low HP on all these Tenstar players. The case should go down. Azure gets one more, triple kill in the round. Doesn't know that player's so close to him, and without these hatches open, this retake is so hard. C4 being placed on that soft floor gives himself a sound cue, an option. He'll now drop in and get one. Why does I want to play? Azure now pushes deep inside of sight, and the beepers will ring off, showing Dora's hand, showing his position. But he has to hold off for just a little bit longer. 24 seconds, so we hit critical. Can any of these Tenstar players creep their way, try and tap that case? And Azure loses his life. No heroics for him. And it looks all but one now. Play the time, fall back just a little bit. Wiseman will tap away, try and stick it out. 5 seconds, he'll pull off. But it is ultimately the time that does the damage. And Mkers, you might lose Dora, but you win the round and you get yourself on the map point here on Bank.
Very good round again, and very good decision making from the side of Mkers. But once again, they opened the door twice for Tenstar to win that round. All you had to do was hold the cross and go for the defuse. Now, obviously, they didn't know the case was there just yet, but the players play him. I mean, you know, based on the beepers, that that's where he is. That's the biggest bit of intel that you can possibly get.
And now we have the timeout called. So, Kenny, the wonderful coach of Tenstar, has seen something he does not like and went, alright, let us fix this. Let us steer the ship in the right direction. Mkers now on map point. Realistically, you do not want this to 3 maps. You want to get this done and dusted. Well, of course, everyone does. Everyone wants to get this done as quick as possible. For Tenstar, though, those are 2 rounds in a row where you realistically should have won that round. Those are rounds that you had complete control over, and Mkers found a way to slip through the cracks. That round upstairs in CEO, the fact is that was a 4v2. The case goes down, and that should have been, before that case goes down, they should have known it was going to happen. Tenstar had lacked information, lacked actionable information, and they suffered because of it. Mkers doing a very good job of causing problems. Now, timeout's done, nerves settled. Can we get this a little bit of a charge back from Tenstar?
Well, map point for Mkers, and we're very close to seeing it go to that third map, that trip to Clubhouse, which would be oh so fun between these two sides.
What a coin toss that map is, though. And both these teams are so good on club. If we go there, we need all 3 maps. What a series this would be. Think fitting of the billing of this. The 2 Goliaths, the 2 Behemoths, the 2 heavyweight champions going absolutely toe for toe in this one. Can TenStar claw this one back, or is it time to get ourselves our bags prepped for a little trip to Germany, as Clubhouse might be calling?
Bomb located
Well,
by attackers.
we'll find out very soon. Very, very soon indeed, because Mkers just 1 round away. 2 rounds from TenStar, though, and we could find ourselves going to overtime.
5 seconds remaining.
And if we know Kenny, we know TenStar, they're going to want to do it in this map. Mkers,
Who
though,
wouldn't? Who would?
Ollie, though, as you keep pointing out, he is this saying that if you win the second map in a best of 3, you're going to win the third.
Well, he says if you win the second map, you're going to win the series.
Yes.
Which is a very good statement, because either you've already won the series by the time of the second map, or you've got a little bit of momentum on your side. Not really a game where momentum's been a massive factor. Both these teams have kept themselves in touching distance. This is like one of the biggest deficits we've had so far, bar for those initial side swaps. So 2 rounds in favour of Mkers. Already open up electrical. That position now compromised. Yonka down below on that pulse will relay as much as he can with that cardiac sensor. This is the moment. These are the rounds where you want a player like Jegs to really come alive. He's not had a bad game, but he's been not as Jegs as he's been in previous matches. Little bit quiet, little bit muted, especially when you compare that to Lolo and Sorry so far. Big shifts from the Mkers players. 2 minutes remaining in this round, and a good roam presence from TenStar, forcing a lot of utility clear, a lot of presence, a lot of map control needed by Mkers.
If I'm not wrong, Lolo, if he gets another kill, is going to be over 30 for 2 maps. That's how big of an impact he has had so far in this series. So numbers like that, you'd like to think that you're going to at least get 1 map out of it. So Jegs' position, very important, playing inside open area. They've put 2 players in this position to hold that hatch. At what point did they decide, yep, we've wasted enough time, we're going to fall back? Well, we'll find out. Sorry is baiting out all of those smoke canisters from below. This was something that we saw them to be able to take advantage of last time. Now Zanoxo is able to get an opener. Jegs is going to get 1 straight afterwards to make it a 5 versus 3, as that open area hold is coming in strong here for TenStar.
Massive roam presence. You're now forcing a huge clear in this middle of the section of the building. And while you have got Gemini on this flank watch, on this cutoff from that opening from the Selma, the case cold inside a Brinter. Azure gets 1 more on the Lolo, and now this is a problem. Mkers stop the bleeding. Sorry will try and put that tourniquet on. Gets 1 to Azure, but Jegs pops up, plays a dangerous game of whack-a-mole. Might be able to find this on the Dokkaebi. Crosses deep all the way to Printer, but as the flashback, no! Oh my, what a fumble from Jegs in that moment. Sprints a little bit too keen on that shift key, but now it's going to be a 4 versus 2, 3 versus 2, I should say, in favour of TenStar. Make it a 2 versus 2. Now that C4 sent out to no avail, and Mkers knocking on the door. This could be a problem, TenStar. You don't want to let this one slip. Utility tossed out. Smoke grenades. No case in hand, though.
Attackers have recovered
All down to this. Final 30 seconds, Gibby. Can TenStar hold on? Can they hold on for 1 more round, or are we going to Clubhouse?
It's an absolute bank robbery if they're able to win this, but Yonka's able to get Sorry, and that makes it a 3 versus 1. Gemini drops down through the hatch, and the audio will provide that intel that he's making the move, but 2 members of TenStar playing
Don't need to
inside
peek.
of
Don't peek. Don't peek. Don't peek. You don't need to do anything, TenStar.
Biased caster doesn't want TenStar to lose the round, but the members of Mkers now, there's Yonka getting the kill, and just like that, TenStar reduced the deficit to 1. And well, at the end of this next round, we're either having overtime or a third map.
Not a bad result either way, realistically. If you're in this one for the billing of the matchup, this is the spectacle we all imagined it would be. So, once again, these 2 teams have pushed us to round 12. The end of regulation, overtime or Clubhouse. Daring prediction from you, Gibby? What are you saying?
Oh,
Go
I
on.
need to think.
No. What's your heart telling you? What's the heart telling you? Come on.
Heart says overtime, head says Clubhouse.
Now, let's go back to your heart. If that was going to
Black.
go... Well, I know. But what would you say? If it went to overtime, who wins it? Well, I'm asking you to pick a winner of this map.
If it goes to overtime, TenStar win the map.
I was definitely not steering you in that direction.
You were.
Prediction.
You
Anyway,
read it on your notebook and you were like, say TenStar.
I've got my runes,
Yeah.
my prediction runes.
Definitely wouldn't think that
No.
you're a big fan of TenStar.
No. What? No. There's no MPL bias on this desk at all.
Apart from the fact that Ace and Des regularly wear M&M jerseys.
Yeah, well, we were going to wear wild ones, but we saw how that one went.
So, we move into match point. As we said, overtime or clubhouse will be decided after the end of this round. Open area will be the dance floor that these players will be looking to tango on to try get the win. YZN will reinforce that hatch, and they will look to set up that kind of a checkpoint system on the top floor. If you're a member of Mkers, you're going to work your way in, try get some vertical control, use Sledge to the best of his ability, and Buck, so you've got double soft breach or soft destruction on the side of Mkers. They're looking to make a lot of holes in that floor.
I'm a big fan of Thorn getting brought out here. What this is those gadgets kind of force you to take fights. That's the intention. That's what YZN is trying to do. Use a pretty powerful SMG and good utility to force fights. Brings a shield as well. Azur in that elevator tries to just lock it down. A little bit of control. Tented a few moments now. Mkers do not want to dive in too early. Do not want to take a risk. They do not want to take a single gamble here.
Minute and 55 seconds on the clock. Jegs will get rid of some of those drones. Looking at the information game. Oh, Akui will get the opener though, and that's big. Now, look at the drone economy though, but they don't have a lot of drones available to work out information. Now, you have those Gemini replicators. Yeah, but you have the Gemini replicators of Iana, and you've got the nades.
Yeah, but realistically, the 2 drones is not a lot to work with. You've got no real flank watchability here. So, 10 star, I mean, if you find 2 more drones, you've completely removed the eyes of Mkers. This could be huge. Good spot from you, Gibbs. Minute 20 left to work with. YZN locked in place, deep inside of sight. Azur down below has been a key factor for his team so far. Can he pounce and backstab later on? Mkers go through the steps, go through the motions, open up the angles, open up the verticals, see what they can do. What can they get set up?
Right, Azur can very realistically get up through both of these elevator hatches and get right in behind the back lines whenever he does. So he's down inside basement and he's thinking about it. You know, he's having that think. Gemini playing in that position with the wall open should be able to prevent that flank coming round from Azur. But Gemini has now given up that position. 43 seconds to go. Azur still bides, holds and waits his time as the flank will come. But the question is, when?
Hard breach utility utilised, open angle on Azur. It's so tantalising and close from our perspective. He'll decide to take the staircase this time around. 3 bodies in close proximity, and he spots that one, dumps his magazine and can't get that confirmed. He'll play a dangerous game with Down to the Devil. He'll be able to find one, drags all to the depths of hell. 15 seconds now, and it's all down to Mkers. Go time, and you've got to worry about 1 down below. YZN will scrap, and Brawl denies that plant going down. Yonka gets 1, and Gemini fires back against the trade. Make it 2, but Azur shut down by the pistol. Zenoxo, it's all down to you. 2 seconds with the case not going down. Time forces our hand to overtime.
The scary thing is, Zenoxo thought about going back to fight.
He thought about it. He thought for a brief moment. He's like, nah, do I peek? Good decision making. He didn't though.
So with that, we go to overtime. Mkers will have 2 defensive rounds to potentially win. That is the joy of starting on defense in overtime. You win this round, you're guaranteed at least 1 more defense. At the very least. 10 star. If you can win the first round in overtime on attack, it really opens the door for you going forward to the rest of this. So, basement will be the destination. Zenoxo, as he always does, plays with our heartstrings with the glass in for the prep phase, but will of course change away from that as the round progresses. Now, looking at the side of Mkers.
Someday he'll play it.
He did once.
It was Chalet.
It was in
once.
Chalet because there's a very specific strat where you take him.
Exactly. The one time he didn't play with our emotions.
So, Akui is playing Smoke. You've got Mute in play again. And you've got Goyo. So it's that similar style of defense again. There's actually no changes whatsoever. As Whippet has pointed out, that there's only 2 drones left after the prep phase.
That's not great. That's not great at all. You want to have, 3 to 4 drones left, realistically. You like to have them set up.
That was a bug, I think.
Ah, yes, okay.
Yeah.
Woo!
We got excited for nothing.
I like it. I like what teams hunt for drones. It's a nice little thing I talk about.
So, the drones. Obviously, they have a massive impact on drone because intel is so vitally important for both of these sides. Because if you go into a gunfight and you just know you've got that bit of information, it can give you such an advantage. And it does play both ways. Mute, very good at preventing that information. Now, 10 star. when you won the site, it all came down to some great work by Azure on the Twitch. Can Azure repeat that magic?
No.
Attackers
No.
located.
It's very difficult to have such a heroic round, and, well, speak of timing, look who's gone. Look who falls first. It will be Azure. I feel like I've cursed him just a little bit there.
Well, you say you cursed him. You said that he wasn't going to get to use them. You were right.
Yeah. So either I cursed him or I'm just that good at predicting things.
Yeah. So that's the opener pick. That's Twitch gone. That's your ability to get rid of that utility without threatening a body inside of sight. So those 3 Goyo canisters can now just delay. And there's one on the breach as well. And that's going to pop. The amount of utility that they have put onto A, which means that you can defend the rest of the site and just kind of pop those canisters from behind. So if you're 10 star, how do you address this issue? Do you drop down through hatches? Do you maybe push down through main stairs and get some pressure that way? Well, you need to do something. There's a minute and 30 left to go. It is a lot of time, yes, but it does go quickly.
The fact is as well, you've lost that opening pick, you've lost a very good weapon when you need to make those late game fights. And the Twitch showing site, you would like to burn away those Vulcans. You would like to get away that key utility before you have to try and face it head on. And yes, it's all well and good having a lot of time to work with, but look at the stall availability. 3 toxic canisters and those Goyo shields, or not Goyo shields, those Goyo canisters sitting and just waiting. So 10 star, as well as you might have everything set up and ready to go, you are going to find this round absolutely choked out. 2 of the Vulcans already detonated and burning, and well, with 50 seconds left to go, you are forced to go as deep as possible to make this work, and you don't have to sit and be patient. This is the most agonizing moments for players. You cannot push deep, you have to try and rely on someone, and that might be Jegs to make a absolute hero play, and he's thinking about it, and they might need to rely on him to push on in. You can't go for that plant yet, Yonka. It's not time. The fire hasn't stopped blazing its way through. That nade, forced to go deep, forced to be a hero moment. What can they find? The smokes are there, but one's tossed a little bit too deep. Yonka, he might be able to stick this one out. Surely not. You've got the toxic canisters. How do you get away with that one, 10 star? And the case goes down. It's a post plant, and Jegs now on flank watch, stopping that ascent up the main stairs.
That's twice. That is twice that 10 star have gotten away with a criminal plant down inside the vault.
Oh my, Jegs!
Double.
Triple.
Got 2.
Oh.
Got 2. Yonka gets another. It's a 3v1. It's all down to Aquino, who's gone all the way up to the top floor to try take control of Square. He's got 12 seconds to get these kills and the defuse. He's going to get ready to go. Zanoxo gets the kill, and 10 star break the serve, and they find themselves on map and series point, and they're going on defense. We're on bank today so far. These sides have been proving it can be a lot more powerful. You okay?
That moment from Jegs.
But that's twice. That's twice they've got a plant off inside the smoke because the placement of the smoke, the toxic bay, hasn't been right.
To me, what that reads as, has Makers over-predicted that Yonka runs a little bit deeper? Because that canister was tossed towards that server rack wall, where Yonka has planted there previously in this matchup. But the fact is, you've got 3 Goyos that burn away. You've got around 50, 30 seconds left to work with. Look at this, Jegs. He doesn't get 3 here. He just gets 2, but does a mess of damage. He does get 3. He did get 3.
There was just that many bodies.
You tricked me.
There was a Congo
you
line.
Lied.
It was a Congo line.
But that, I mean, look, but that is perfect, right? He wasn't needed. They didn't need to call on him to dive bomb into the site late on. He's like, all right, the case went down. Well done, Yonka. Time to go prone and stop anyone's dreams of a retake upstairs. Well played from Jegs. Well played by 10 star. But you got a question. How was that plant not stopped? How do you let Yonka get that down?
And he was on 1 HP too. He was really low when he was getting that plant down.
He tasted a little bit of fire as well. He was waiting for the guy to stop burning. He goes, oh, not yet. Oh, not yet. Not yet. Oh, it's time. And the smokes go soaring over. There was 2 left in pocket as well.
So open area is going to be the front line of this defense again as they go down to basement.
That round is still that round has sent me off a cliff.
There's been so many rounds where the attacking side have won it in this game, and you're just wondering how.
That's true.
The 2 rounds were Makers did it, the 2 rounds were 10 started it, and now Makers need to win this attack to stay in, or to get to that final of challenging. If not, they go down to the lower bracket.
No one wants that. No one wants to go to the lower bracket. Some pretty scary teams down there, isn't there?
You have Dunlimited, who are terrifying down there, and you have a set that Jegs gets the opener.
That's the last thing you want. That is the last thing you want.
It's Ace gone too.
You've lost an ace, the case is cold, and you let Jegs get a little bit of taste for blood. That's not good. That's a problem for Mkers now. And this entire strategy, you've put a lot of bodies in the holding. You got one player holding garage. You're locking that down, being a sentinel turret. But there's no one there to clear that shield this time around. And now you're forced in this horrible position where you're trying to recover the diffuser, get what map control you can. And that's going to be why then gets another one on the sorry now. And that's going to be the offset down. That's the garage shut down. 10-star, look to have this one game set and match, and now their own presence drops down the site.
Yeah, they can just fall back. All they need to do is fall back now. They've got a 5 versus 3, and it's going to take something heroic from Mkers to manage to claw this one back. They're going to get on the drones. Yonka has got the pulse. He can feed all of this information to the team as well as he plays out of red. As Mkers, well, the options are becoming a little bit limited. How are you going to play it? You've got the hatch, but at what cost? Lolo is pushed into server now too. The wall is soft, and Akui is going to begin to hard breach that wall open. But now the toxic bays are going to start popping. Now the clock is going to become a bit of a problem for Mkers as 10-star just look to eat it away.
Minute left. Azur, up he goes. Up the other arch he goes. And this is going to be a problem. He's going to go all the way upstairs. He has every intention for a long flank. Pressure builds every second. Those ex-carry builds get shot out as well.
Garage player.
This is a problem. Now, they wanted to shut that down. They had the OSA there for a reason. Akui, cautious of Azur, aware a threat will arrive from upstairs. But Mkers, you don't have the manpower, you don't have the time, and you're running out of every option. That's C4 sent, but Gemini gets one to Azur. The flank now shut down. Is there a chance? Is there an opportunity? 25 seconds and Jake says no. Double kill in the round. And now it's desperate measures. The case, you gotta try and stick it. You gotta hope your cover is down and solid. But 10-star, they will wait. They will hold on. They will lock this one out. And they've got no chance. Surely no chance Akui can find this one. Jegs locks it down. 9 seconds. It's all but over. 10-star, you are looking at the cusp of a final, and yes you are! There it goes! Your MPL champions now book their ticket in this season of Challenger League's grand final. What a showing from them. And they get the revenge on Bank against Mkers.
They get their revenge. The only positive for Mkers is by winning all those games earlier, you stayed in the upper bracket. You've got one more life remaining against who we find out later today. But for 10-star, what a year it has been so far. You think back to last year and you think of the story Eminem wrote, and you got to say that was an absolute wonderful story. 10-star,
it's something similar, isn't it?
It could be better. It could actually be better. They were Nukin 2 at the start of the year. Nukin 2. And they've only made a couple of changes because players went to play in the UL.
That is true.
So they've lost incredible players. They've been able to make changes, and all of a sudden they find themselves in the final of Challenger League.
What almost a fairy tale. Almost a fairy tale for them. They've got one more matchup a little bit later on this month to get done, but I tell you what, I cannot wait to see how our desk breaks down that absolute Goliath of a matchup.